Did you guys lose this game or did the Jazz win this one?
What? I'm out, man. That nigga's tripping.
We have seen some stupid questions from reporters throughout our years, but nothing compares to some of the stupid questions we've seen them ask athletes, especially the athletes who are at the top of their respective sport and dominating the league.
In regards to being a Navy SEAler, was that something you were considering?
I've already talked about everything. In the book, yes, I've already commented on everything, Alex.
I must have missed you answering that question.
Well, I've already commented on the book. Is that in the book?
Well, I don't know.
Is it in the book?
Okay, let's move on, Brian.
You're a beauty, you know that?
NBA is no exception, although some of these popular players decided to clap back at their stupid questions and absolutely humiliate the reporters asking them, creating memes and even getting people fired. Reporters amongst all major sports leagues have asked some pretty dumb questions over the years. Chris Paul was one of the guys who was caught at the end of a very stupid question. Paul had such a clever and humiliating response for the reporter that the clip ended up going viral, and Paul is one of the humblest and nicest dudes in the league right now, so it was shocking to see him react like that. Although, when you ask a question like this, it's easy to see why. The question came after the Los Angeles Clippers played a playoff game against the Utah Jazz in the first round. At the time of the interview, the Clippers had lost Game 5 of the series, and just like any other player after a big loss, he was angry and didn't really feel like speaking to anybody. So he sits down to answer a few questions, and the very first one that he receives goes like this: "Chris, will you guys be coming back here to play a Game 7? Paul just looked around for a few moments before just saying, "What?" The reporter then asked about his confidence level going into the next game and wanted to know his feelings over the team's chances. Paul just looked at him and was asking what he wanted him to say, because he wasn't going to say his team was out of it and that they were clearly going to lose because he was still a member of the team. Chris then said after his response, "Come on, man, you've been doing this long enough. Seriously, everybody in here laughing for a reason." Looking back on the question, I'm not even sure what the dude was trying to accomplish with that question. Obviously, Paul was going to be coming into their next game with a high level of confidence to keep his team in the postseason. He wasn't going to just wave the white flag and move on to the offseason, especially while he was the leader of the team at that time. But he didn't have to do the poor man like that. Chris really had the whole room laughing at one of the veteran reporters who just didn't think about what he was actually asking him before saying it.
Chris, will the Clippers be back here Sunday playing a Game 7?
What?
Your feeling about, your level of confidence that you'll be back here again.
What you think? I'm on the team. What you want me to say? Nah, it's over. I mean, that's what you want to hear? Yes. Come on, man. You've been doing this long enough. Seriously, right?
You can expand upon that.
No, I don't know. Everybody in here laughing for a reason.
But I guess the reporter wasn't all that humiliated compared to one Russell Westbrook embarrassed. This wasn't a recent moment, as Westbrook was still a member of the Oklahoma City Thunder, a team that still featured Kevin Durant. At this time, the Thunder were coming off a very bad loss to the Utah Jazz. Ironically, the same team that the Clippers lost with Chris Paul. Russ put up 22 points but had 7 turnovers, one of the worst games he had that entire season. Knowing the competitor that Westbrook is, he was upset with himself for his performance and wanted to improve his own game. He wasn't the happiest person around at that moment, so it wasn't surprising to see him mad at a stupid question that was asked towards him. The reporter looked at him and asked him this: "Did you guys lose this game or did the Jazz win it?" Russ just thought for a second before looking up and saying, "What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?" Then he went on to say that he was out and didn't want to answer any more questions. But can you really blame him? What type of question was that? Especially for a guy that was coming off a pretty bad game and was unhappy that his team wasn't able to pull away with the victory. Not only did the reporter get laughed at for his dumb question, but the video ended up getting millions of views and it turned into such a huge meme on the internet for quite a long time. Sometimes that clip even resurfaces now and then and makes an appearance, but you never want to be turned into a meme, especially over a question that you thought was really good. Westbrook was just over the whole situation, and like I said, you can't really blame him.
Russ, did you guys lose this game or did the Jazz win this one?
What? I'm out, man. That nigga's tripping.
But that wasn't the only dumb question that Westbrook had to face head on. A little bit after Durant joined the Golden State Warriors, both he and Westbrook weren't very happy with one another. The Cleveland Cavaliers had just defeated the Warriors in a thriller on Christmas Day that saw Kyrie Irving hit a game-winning shot over Klay Thompson. Russ then posted a practice video of him hitting a shot before running down the tunnel and yelling, "Thank you, Kyrie." The video grew rapidly, and it got the attention of a few reporters who were chomping at the bit for a hot new headline. The reporter asked him for comments about the video, and Russ just responded with, "What video?" That wasn't the only thing he said, though, as he went on for quite a while, and the reporter had nothing else to say besides, "I thought maybe you wanted to comment on the video." Russ eventually asked about what video he was referring to, and the man talked about him saying, "Thank you, Kyrie." Westbrook was confused at first, but mentioned that the video was twisted, and he actually said, "Thank you, Jamie." Jamie was his trainer's daughter who was near him at the time. Russ said that he didn't want to involve himself in that dumb shh before asking for the next question while laughing. I guess that reporter didn't do his research over the topic and probably should have thought a little harder about what he wanted to ask before diving into it.
Kyrie, do you want to comment on that at all?
What?
There's a video
What
of
do I
like,
look like? What video?
there's a video that the Thunder Twitter account tweeted out.
I would never say no other man's name like that. I was talking to my trainer's daughter. His daughter's name is Jamie. But next question, man.
But guess what? Westbrook was asked yet another stupid question, and this time he wasn't about to hear it. He went off on the reporter. His Thunder had just lost by over 20 points to Durant and the Warriors, and he was not very happy with both his and his team's performance. But late in the game, Westbrook had fallen after colliding with Nick Young, and then the notoriously dirty big man Zaza Pachulia looked to intentionally fall onto Westbrook's legs, seemingly trying to injure the poor man. That was a big talking point after the game, and a reporter had asked this: "What happened on that play when Zaza fell on your leg?" Russ simply responded with this: "What do you think happened? Don't lie, don't lie." All the reporter said was that Zaza did indeed fall on his leg, and that was all he knew. Russ continued by saying thank you to the reporter because he saw the replay multiple times, and then said not to ask him any dumb questions that you already know the answer to. I mean, it was obvious that Zaza intentionally fell onto his leg, and Westbrook more than likely saw the replay and knew himself what had happened. People really need to listen to this man's advice and not ask questions that they already know the answer to. LeBron James was asked a question that nobody in the world will ever know the answer to, and he wasn't very happy about it. Now, it's worth remembering that this question was asked shortly after a game between the Cavaliers and the Warriors in the NBA Finals. The exact game that J.R. Smith dribbled the ball out after a missed free throw instead of putting up another shot to try and win the ballgame. It resulted in the infamous meme between the two players, but a reporter wanted to know even more about the entire situation. One man from ESPN took the chance and asked LeBron's view of the entire situation on if he knew what Smith was thinking at that moment, whether they were tied or that they were about to win the game. James just looked at him and said he didn't talk to Smith about the situation and said this: "How am I supposed to know what he was thinking?" But the guy clearly didn't get the message that James didn't know the answer because, well, he doesn't know what Smith was thinking because they're different people. The reporter asked him the exact same question again, and James said no. Then the reporter goes, "Not sure?" And LeBron immediately claps back with, "What do you mean not sure? I don't know his state of mind." But then he asked yet again if J.R. Smith knew the score of the game. And at this point, LeBron had heard enough questions for the day. He immediately put the microphone down, picked up his bag, put on his sunglasses, and walked straight out of the room without saying another word to anybody there. I'm sure it must have been incredibly humiliating to the reporter to have to sit there amongst a ton of other reporters who had questions lined up for LeBron, and yet couldn't ask him because this one random dude aggravated him. I definitely wouldn't want to be that guy after that, and neither did he. The internet knew his name, and they dug deeper to find all the stupid questions that he has ever asked NBA players. The videos showed so many dumb questions that some fans and even players began to just hate the dude and refuse to answer questions from him. Yes, they were that bad.
What's your reaction to it? What's your version?
What do you mean, what's my version?
Well, did he think that the game was tied, or did he think that you guys had it salted away?
How do I know that?
Did he think that you guys had it won, or did he think he was trying to make a play? Not sure. Did you know if he knew the score?
This obviously wasn't the first dumb question that LeBron had to answer throughout his illustrious NBA career, and it almost certainly won't be the last. A few years ago, he was also asked how important it was to defend home court in the NBA Finals when his Cavaliers were down 2-0 in the series against the Warriors. LeBron just asked him if he was a smart man. The reporter said, "Yes, I think so." Then James was like, "Okay, then you already know the answer to your question."
LeBron, you just feel it's a case where you guys just need to defend home court at this point?
I mean, are you a smart guy?
think so.
I think so, right? So we don't defend home court, what happens?
James has been around long enough to understand every little aspect of the game, and these reporters asking obvious questions deserve the embarrassment that the players give them afterwards. Maybe if they didn't want that type of reaction, they shouldn't have asked the players those things in the first place. Thank you all so much for watching, and be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. You're going to want to watch the terrifying times NBA players actually fight fans up next.